Priced very closely to the Vivo V23 Pro, the latest OPPO Reno 7 Pro is finally out, and so we thought of doing a Mr. Phone style battery drain comparison test. Let's get started. Now hardware wise, both these phones are pretty similar. For instance, they are powered by the same Dimensity 1200 chipsets. They feature 90Hz AMOLED displays, up to 12GB RAM and 256GB storage. As for the differences, the Reno 7 Pro features a larger 4500 mAh battery that charges at 65 watts, while the Vivo V23 Pro features a smaller 4300 mAh battery that charges at 44 watts using the bundled charger. In terms of software, while the V23 Pro boots Android 12 based on FunTouch OS, the Reno 7 Pro is still running Android 11 based on Color OS 12. Finally, the camera setups of both smartphones are also very different. While the V23 Pro is more of a selfie-focused smartphone, the OPPO Reno 7 Pro is mostly being advertised for its 50-megapixel IMX766 main rear camera and of course, its AI capabilities. Also guys, if you want to see a camera comparison between these phones, let me know in the comments, as there are already too many devices launching left, right and center. Too many videos to make, so if there's enough interest, then we'll definitely consider this. And with the key highlights out of the way, which phone do you think will survive until the last? Let's find out. But before we go ahead, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button for detailed tech videos and also turn on the bell so that you don't miss any of our latest updates. Let's get started. We start with the regular 2-hour video playback test, followed by an hour of benchmarks, then an hour of gaming, and finally an hour of social media. And if both these smartphones survive through it all, we restart the tests again. And of course, both smartphones on the table are 100% charged and unplugged. They are connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Screen brightness is 100%, set to manual. No apps are running in the background. And lastly, they are both set at their maximum 90Hz refresh rate. So in terms of display specifications, the Reno 7 Pro features a 6.5-inch AMOLED display that refreshes at 90Hz. It's an HDR Plus panel and the bezels are very thin. On the other side, the V23 Pro features a 6.56-inch AMOLED display that also refreshes at 90Hz. It's also an HDR panel, but this right here is a curved AMOLED display. And if that's not enough to be distracting while viewing content, the notch will surely be. That said, for the price of these phones, I was expecting to see 120Hz panels here, but never mind, because software optimization plays a big part on both smartphones, because of which scrolling and navigating throughout the UI feels smooth. And apart from that, in terms of display quality itself, the OPPO is good. However, Vivo's display is definitely better and brighter, I feel, and it was very apparent. Not that it's a major difference, but while watching content, I did realize that dark scenes do look slightly more visible. I mean, shadows in the scenes are handled better on the Vivo's display. And because of this, the overall video watching experience was definitely better on the V23 Pro. Here's a quick audio sample from both smartphones. Let me know which one sounds better. So after listening to both, I felt that the stereo speakers on the OPPO definitely sounded richer and fuller, if not louder, than the single bottom firing speaker of the Vivo. And also right now about 1 hour has gone into the test, and we are at a 91% battery on the OPPO, while the Vivo leads at 93% battery. And we are done with a 2-hour video playback test on both smartphones, and currently with a 20% drop, the Reno 7 Pro is right now at 80%, while the V23 Pro that only saw 15% drop is now at 85% battery. Now let's go ahead and record an hour of 1080p 30 FPS videos and see how well the batteries of these smartphones are optimized for being camera phones. Let's go ahead. And 3 hours have passed and okay, not bad. Both phones dropped about 20% for an hour of video recording. Actually, OPPO was slightly better here, but Vivo still leads at 65% battery left in the tank, with OPPO being second at 63%. So now we enter the 4th hour in the test and it is time to run benchmarks. Let's start with Geekbench. So as I had mentioned at the start, both the Reno 7 Pro and the V23 Pro feature Dimensity 1200 chipsets, although OPPO likes to call it the Dimensity 1200 Max chipset. So on paper, yes, the specs of the D1200 and the 1200 Max are the same, but when it comes to performance, the Reno 7 Pro with the 1200 Max is set to give better picture quality in video content thanks to the AI PQ tech. You can also expect a reduced blurring in selfies with AI deblur technology, and lastly, the chipset also comes with an integrated 5G modem that allows it to offer up to 5100 Mbps peak downlink speeds and 700 Mbps uplink speeds. And with all that said, I was expecting a strong showing here in the final results. Not that it is bad, but with all the tech involved in the new D1200 Max chipset, the Vivo was still able to dominate the OPPO in the multi-core scores. But since single-core performance is usually more important, especially while gaming, I guess OPPO does deserve the credit here. Let's run Antutu now. So after the first run, pretty similar scores here, and if individual scores are anything to look at, the OPPO is definitely better for general tasks, that is tasks that mostly rely on the CPU, while the Vivo should be better when it comes to the graphics intensive tasks like gaming. Just look at its GPU score. Now let's run the second round of Antutu. Okay, so while the OPPO performed pretty much in line with its previous run, Vivo's score did dip slightly, although still can't ignore the GPU score on the Vivo, as it is still a good 23,000 points more than the Reno 7 Pro. Anyway, let's go on and run a 30-minute CPU throttling test. And right off the bat, it is evident the graphs of both smartphones is already showing a lot of ups and downs, although the Vivo is definitely better here and looks to be more stable. Let's see how it goes by the end of 30 minutes. And the CPU throttling test is done, and what we see here is that after a little while, the OPPO Reno 7 Pro's performance did slightly throttle, not very much though, but you can take a look at the graph to understand what I'm talking about. But Vivo definitely took the round here with its 85% score versus 81% on the OPPO. And of course, average chips of about 215,000 versus average chips of about 191,000 on the OPPO. And with that, 4 hours have passed and the current battery standings are Vivo leads with 40% while OPPO is still behind at 36%. So let's do an hour of gaming now, and just by the way, I would definitely point out that despite featuring a 200 mAh smaller battery than the Reno 7 Pro, the Vivo V23 Pro has definitely shown an impressive performance in this test. So we have finished 5 hours in the test, the gaming round is done, and both phones took a hit of 22% in the battery. So right now, the V23 Pro is still leading at 18%, with OPPO being at the second spot having 14% battery left in the tank. So can OPPO make a comeback in the last round? Let's find out. It is time for an hour of social media. Quickly checking at the 5.5 hours mark, and Vivo's 4% lead is still there. The V23 Pro right now has 10% battery left versus 6% battery left on the OPPO Reno 7 Pro. Let's continue. And guys, we have finished an hour of social media browsing, and in this last half an hour, things changed a lot. So right now, both phones are at 1% each, which means OPPO did catch up with the Vivo, or should we say, Vivo's software wasn't the most optimized to run Instagram. But anyhow, since these phones have survived through it all, let's restart the tests and see who drops out first. Funny enough, the phone that was leading all along finally calls it quits at 6 hours and 7 minutes. And just a minute after, at 6 hours and 8 minutes, the OPPO Reno 7 Pro is finally discharged as well, and thus the winner of our battery drain test comparison. So with a score of 6 hours and 7 minutes, the Vivo V23 Pro comes second, but overall it was a strong showing for this phone considering it comes with a 4300 mAh battery, which was 200 mAh lesser than its competitor. Nonetheless, a good show overall. But as you all saw a few moments ago, the OPPO Reno 7 Pro definitely takes the win here with a total score of 6 hours and 8 minutes. And here's a round by round breakdown for those who are interested in seeing how much battery these phones lost at different stages. So that's all for this battery drain test comparison between the OPPO Reno 7 Pro and the Vivo V23 Pro. As always, for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Mr. Phone. I'll catch you all in the very next one. Thank you so much for watching.